You ready to do this?
Sure.
You're comfortable.
Yeah.
You feel comfortable?
Yeah, it's pretty hard to make me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, this will be good. We'll
Just put me in a car in traffic in Atlanta. I'll be uncomfortable
where we were yesterday.
all day.
That's not good. I hate driving to Atlanta.
It was the worst.
We got it done though. We survived it.
Yeah.
No car accidents, no self-harm from hating sitting in traffic.
Yeah.
All right, man, we are live.
Cool.
So, welcome everyone. This is episode 5 of the Purpose and Passion podcast. I am currently in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Chattanooga.
Yeah. Say it for us.
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga with 2 D's, not 2 T's. It's Chattanooga. I don't know where. See, I don't have a sharp northeast accent, but I say Chattanooga without T's. So I don't know if somebody from my neck of the woods up in New England would pronunciate the T's, or say them like D's like you do. Chattanooga. I just always say Chattanooga. I think it's because I just have a weird speech impediment.
No, I mean, I've definitely heard quite a few people that are not from the area that like just didn't grow up saying Chattanooga in their normal everyday life that say it the same way you do.
Yeah.
It's just so funny because yours is so like pronounced.
Chattanooga.
Yeah, you don't even pronounce the T's.
No, and it sounds weird if I try to. Like Chattanooga doesn't sound right either.
Yeah,
but that's the way it would be pronounced if you said it the way it's spelled, you know? Yeah. Chattanooga, not Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
Yeah.
It's weird.
We're in Chattanooga.
There you go. That was good.
We're down here in Chattanooga.
That's a stretch. A little more natural, just
kind of like molasses just spilling out of your mouth.
That's Savannah.
Yeah, I know. And that was an Office reference.
Yeah, okay, Andy. Yeah, we know.
Come on. Yeah, you're the Office guy. You know. Well, yeah, we are in Chattanooga, Tennessee, while Mason enjoys some iced coffee. We've got some root beers here with us too. As Corey and I have said in the previous episodes, we're both root beer snobs. And my birthday was just a couple days ago. And Carly, Mason's fiance, got me a sweet little gift basket, and she knows I'm into root beer, and so she got me a 4-pack of IBC root beer, which is a pretty common root beer here in the States. You can find it pretty much anywhere, but it's a good root beer. Mm-hmm. It's a good common root beer to find. And Mason, you haven't had IBC before? Or you don't know if you've had IBC before?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I've never been a root beer drinker.
That's right.
I mean, not really. I mean, just soda in general. I just don't really drink soda. But, I mean, I just remember being, like, when I was a kid that root beer just wasn't for me. And I never really gave it a try, even later on in life. So
I was like it's been a recent thing for me, like last 5 years maybe. Mm-hmm. And I don't drink soda. I used to drink a lot of soda, but I don't drink any soda anymore. I couldn't tell you the last time I had a Pepsi or a Coke or even a Sprite or something. But I do drink root beer. It's got a lot of sugar, obviously, but it doesn't have any caffeine in it. Mm-hmm. Not that really concerns me because of the amount of coffee I drink. But yeah, we might tap into that. I don't know. I think Corey's out getting more coffee right now, so we might have another iced coffee plop down here on the table while we're recording. But if we get into the IBC, we'll have to hear your take on it.
Yeah, but I'm actually genuinely excited about trying it.
We'll have to, you know what? We might have to tap into that later, like after the morning coffee time is over, and then we can kind of like get set up, get the palate ready for the root beer.
Well, I mean, it's nice and cold now. I mean,
it is, isn't it?
So would it be better when it's more like room temp?
We can always put it back in the fridge.
All right.
Yeah, we'll figure that one out.
We'll figure it out.
Do it. I know you want to do it.
I mean, I kind of did. That was a very subtle Letterkenny reference. I just had to drop it. Corey and I were talking earlier when you were gone, and I was like, all right, today, and I'm ruining it right now. But I was like, how many little subtle Letterkenny references, like lines, can I drop before you recognize what I'm doing?
Well, you started with figure it out.
Yeah,
so how am I not going to hear that one?
I think it just is my speech now.
It is, isn't it? Well, yeah, when we're driving in the car somewhere, it's like Letterkenny references everywhere. Yep. But there's a lot of Office references too, and I can pick up on those. Yeah. And engage and be a part of the conversation when we're talking about The Office.
Yeah. It's okay.
But, well, so to get back on track, we're here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, 2 days now away from Riverside 5, which is your car show. Well, you and a good team of people, but a car show that you put on here in Chattanooga. And this is my third year coming down. 2 previous years I've flown down. It's a tough year to get out. It's a tough time of year to get out of the Northeast in early March, specifically because we're still buried in snow and salt. So I've always wanted to come down to the show and have a car here. Not necessarily vend like I am this year with the Governor's Club, but to have a car down here. And it just worked out perfect to have left my entire rig at your shop on the way back from Simply Clean last November. Left everything down here for the winter. Rented a van, came down here with the whole TGC setup with Corey. And so I'm really excited, regardless of weather, to be a part of the show, not only with TGC, but to have a car here and not just be a spectator. So we're 2 days away from that. Tomorrow is the pre-meet. Again, hopefully that we've got some good weather for the pre-meet.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, yeah. Yeah, I forgot. I didn't even know that was going to be the 13th when we got into town, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I didn't realize until probably a couple of weeks ago that I was, or a few weeks ago when I was making the event page on Facebook for the pre-meet. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Because we usually go get, somebody and I will go get like Friday the 13th tattoos or something just for fun, just probably like once a year. And it was like, that'd be cool, but I'll be busy. So
yeah, it's going to be, the insanity is going to begin. Actually, we are, and we can touch on this a little bit more, but we're in the middle of trying to finish the air suspension in Carly's S124 State wagon right now. And that's going to be a photo finish. I'm glad we're taking the time to do this now because obviously, as I said, tomorrow is going to be crunch time to tidy up everything for the show, for the booth, even for my setup too. And so I'm glad we're taking a couple hours to do this morning here on Thursday morning. And then it's back to hammer time, back down to your shop. And we're getting close. Corey's been the MVP on that thing for sure.
Oh yeah, hands down. Yeah.
Because I've been working on the Corvair, the dually, the truck, which we're hauling, the new truck that you helped facilitate for me. Huge thanks there for helping me there. But getting that truck ready for the 1,200 mile home with my car trailer behind it. So I've been trying to make sure that I made sure I covered all those bases too. And yeah, Corey's just like dove in.
Yeah, he's definitely been a rock star this whole time. And I know I'm just probably annoying him at this point, but every like 10 minutes I'm like, dude, like I just want to make sure like I appreciate everything you do.
Yeah.
But it's so cool because he'll be able to just do his own thing and just get to work, and I can go and work on other stuff that also needs to be worked on. I mean, we were trying to get 4 of our vehicles, our personal vehicles to the show, but now I mean only 3 will make it. Yeah, and that's if her 124 makes the deadline.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. We're going to get it done because once we're done here, I know Nikolai and Nando from Florida, from Simply Clean, are getting into town right about the time we're going to be finishing this up probably. So we'll probably catch up with them. But yeah, we'll be down in Dalton by this afternoon and we'll be back crunching on that thing. Yeah. We don't have much more to finish on it.
No, it's very close. But yeah, I mean, just man, Corey.
Yeah, he's definitely the MVP of the week for sure. And that's we both enjoy that stuff. I mean, I know last time when I was out here, well, not the last time was Simply Clean, but I came out for the 4th of July to visit you and Carly, and we started pulling the stock suspension out of your W123 in like 100-degree heat. It's
still sitting there.
It is.
It hasn't moved. I've actually taken more parts off of it, and then
we've actually robbed a few things for the air suspension for Carly's car just for time's sake that it was there in the shop. And so you can always just order stuff for the 123 later on. But just to correlate that too, like whenever, I know this is Corey's first time to Chattanooga, but we just like cars. You like cars, we like cars, and it's not, we just enjoy it. So it's fun to work on something else in like a different environment too,
Yeah. And we had talked about this last night some, and I feel so bad. It's like, cause you guys are taking your vacation to come down here and wrench on a car with me in my shop in Georgia, like in the rain and in the cold. But at the same time, like those are some of the like most important times and experiences that I can think back on with like my friends, just wrenching on cars, hanging out in the garage.
That's it.
And that's like, I feel bad about it, but like now, but then I think about it, and then I know like later on we'll look back at it and be like, well, yeah, I mean that was a whole lot of fun.
Exactly.
Because we get to do that together.
That's the way we see it. There's a bit of pressure because of the time crunch to get the car done and stuff, but it's still enjoyable, man. Yeah. It's not like one of those stories that becomes a fond memory through misery when it was going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's not that at all. So we're thoroughly enjoying our time down here. And this is, I mean, I can speak for Corey, who just walked in the room.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Thanks, man. Awesome. Corey just, thank you.
Shout out.
Corey's heading out to actually work on
Yeah.
Harley's wheels right now for the wagon because you thought it was a good idea to strip the clear off the lips and get right.
Okay,
They'll look awesome.
So that was Carly's idea, and I'll give her this. All right, so it was like 4 or 5 days ago that we decided. All right, let's go ahead and strip the clear off the lips. They're OZ Opera 2s, 2-piece wheels, and we don't have the OZ like I guess the whatever the tool is to take the split the faces.
It's a 10-point.
Yeah.
And the one on those wheels, most of the old OZs are take a 10-point like socket.
Yeah.
But these wheels are an inverted, and they take like a male socket.
Yeah.
And you can only really get them from OZ or some random parts. So yeah, we didn't have that tool to take them apart.
Yeah. So the original plan was to split the wheels so we could do it a little quicker.
Yeah.
And but anyway, found out we didn't have the tool, and Carly, she started stripping the lips a few days ago, and then she got sick. I mean, the day she started, she was just like, I don't really feel that great. And then like a couple hours later, she's like, I'm sick. I got to go home. So since then, I mean, we just had too many other things to work on. And the plan was for her to just work on the wheels, refinishing the wheels over the last few days. They would have been done by now. And it just, unfortunately that happened. But she's already kicked it. She's back at work. She's feeling great.
Yeah, that was a good miss on that one.
Yeah.
Because as I mentioned, like when I get strep throat, it's like even if I get to the doctors and I get like penicillin or whatever they give you, antibiotics, whatever, it's always a roller coaster. I'm always like super sick. It seems like it lasts for 2 weeks. So that's perfect that you guys got to the doctor and she got that sorted out that quickly. But Corey's working on the wheels now, and that'll get done. That's like Corey loves that. He'll be the first to tell you. He did tell you. Yeah, like that's like therapeutic for him. For me, I've refinished plenty of sets of wheels of my own, and I still my fingers hurt just thinking about it. So he's out there working on that now. We'll get the wheels sorted out. We'll get them polished up. They'll look good. Yeah, they'll look good. Yeah, at the time it was almost like one more thing to add to the list, but those are easy enough to where we can bring those up from the shop, work on them here. Yeah, and that's fine. Tires are in now. I'm looking at them right over here. Tires are in. We'll get those mounted up. Yeah, things will be good.
Yeah, yesterday they showed up. So happy about that. So we can get those on, get the car back on the ground. Hopefully
it'll be a photo finish. Yeah.
I mean, potentially like tonight.
Yeah. So we'll put some time in on that tonight. So we're a couple days away from the show, and as we've been talking about, we've got plenty to do. I mean, you've been sending out like last second like emails and stuff too, like acceptance emails and stuff for cars at the show. Since it's a curated show, people register and you go through and accept or decline the cars. So it's a curated show. You have everything like tidied right up, and we'll cover that too, because we'll get into like the history of like the genesis of Riverside and like kind of where that came from in your own mind and how you kind of came up with that whole thing, and that would be a good place to start with kind of how it all got started, because I know you and I have only been like good friends for the last like 5 years or so. Met each other probably 7 or 8 years ago at Solo in Helen, Georgia. But even before that, before we met each other, we kind of I don't want to say lived comparable lives, but kind of existed in the same spaces, in the same communities in a way, both through the cycle industry and the music industry as well.
Yeah.
So what kind of came first? You grew up in Dalton, Georgia. You're close to my age. You're only a couple years younger than I am for the most part. Early 30s. You are 30.
Yep.
Yeah. You just celebrated your 30th this past summer. So what came first? Because I know you rode motocross. I know you worked with Shane at the bike shop in Dalton. We can talk a little bit about that. Like was motocross or like cycling something that you kind of wanted to pursue, or was it just kind of like a fun hobby? You didn't give too much thought about it.
I would say, I mean, music definitely was there first. I mean, I was playing in bands and stuff for a long time before I even really got into riding bicycles. And I rode I rode dirt bikes and stuff when I was a kid, but that was mostly just, before I got my driver's license, and I was on anything with wheels and a motor, and if it could go fast and be loud, like I was like, yeah, let's do that. I just love it, especially being in the woods. Yeah. It's just so much fun. But But yeah, I would say that music was really kind of like early teenager. I mean, I remember listening to like Ramones records when I was in middle school with good friends of mine, and just like, all right, we like this kind of stuff. This is a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, the first punk band I played in, I was in 8th grade. We played like a couple of talent shows in Dalton, and we played like Ramones covers and Screeching Weasel, Hey Suburbia, and then we had a couple of originals. And I mean, I was like 13 years old, 12 years old, playing just power chords and heavy distortion and everything. So much fun. And and that just started a long journey. I mean, I worked in a recording studio just for a few years, kind of at the end of high school.
Around college. High school. Yep.
Yeah, and played in punk bands for quite a while through that. All through high school and the first few years of college, and it was really cool because I mean the punk scene kind of in that like, early 2000s from like 05 to like 2012 was really cool and really fun, and it was a great community in North Georgia and like southern middle Tennessee, or like southern center Tennessee, I guess. But
New England was the same way.
Yeah,
like 05 to 09 were the years I was most active, and I feel like those were the glory days and as well.
Yeah,
so it's cool that southern Tennessee, North Georgia was kind of, in your opinion, was kind of experiencing the same days, I guess.
And it was really neat because of the location. Like Chattanooga is a central location. It's 2 hours from Nashville. It's a little under 2 hours from Knoxville. It's 2 hours from Atlanta, and just separated by major highways. So it was really easy for the connection of all those cities for, the different punk scenes and hardcore scenes to really kind of blend together well. And so anytime we wanted to go on the road and play music, I mean, it was simple to do. And that was great. I mean, I feel like I was very lucky to have that opportunity to really kind of get out there and socialize with people in different towns and stuff as a teenager.
Yeah, get you on the road.
Yeah, get me on the road, and not and being familiar with like sleeping in the back of a van with like music equipment and like getting ripped off or whatever, not getting paid for playing shows and bars and stuff when I'm like 19 years old.
That you had a $50 guarantee for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, something maybe buy us dinner that night.
We did that same thing.
Oh yeah. But that was life. Like that was everything.
I miss those days.
Yeah.
Like you and I have talked about this in the past, but it's like I miss those days so much. Mm-hmm. As adults, quote unquote, adults, we have more financial stability now. We have more equity in things. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have any of that in those days, but boy, do I miss like being in a van with 3 or 4 of your friends headed to play a show. And that's all that mattered.
Oh yeah.
That's all that mattered. It didn't matter if there was 100 people packed into a VFW hall or if there was like 5 people.
Oh yeah.
We were still gonna bring as much, power as we could.
Yeah.
And I miss that. And I'm so happy that you also experienced that.
Yeah.
Because it's so much fun to talk about that. Even though we didn't play shows together.
Yeah.
We can relate to the same experiences.
Yeah. I mean, that was, I would say, the most memorable shows I'd ever played weren't like the big ones or like the crazy ones or playing like the festivals and stuff. It was more playing in like a small backroom vendor or venue with just only the other bands there. And it's really just like, okay, these 5 guys go on stage and then the rest of the people listen and then these 5 guys go on stage.
Exactly.
And we're just, it's just like the same like
bands.
Yeah, 5 or 6 bands just playing to each other. And that was so much fun. I'll just never forget those times. And even now, some buddies and I that used to play music together back 10 years ago are even talking about starting to kind of like jam together. We've already started writing a little music, or lyrics kind of to go to some stuff, but really just for fun. I mean, I played more of like a heavier kind of like a hardcore punk rock kind of stuff for a long time. And I'm too tired for that now. And I'm not as angry as I used to be.
Yeah, exactly.
I've actually never been an angry person. I just like angry music.
Yeah.
But one of I would say my favorite band I ever played in was a band called Leave Home. And it's some buddies of mine. I mean, we grew up like, we went to elementary school together and we just played like rock and roll, punk rock kind of stuff. And it was like party music. Like we played just like house shows and like small venues and stuff. And it was really just like, the style of music was just so much fun, and anybody could walk in the room and be like, oh, okay, this got a good beat, or like it was fun to listen to. And it was the most fun I had playing. And that's something that it was cut short because like a couple of people had moved away and I didn't want to play with like anybody else other than these people I've been playing with for, I don't know, 8 years or whatever.
Naturally.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just hang this up. I'll pick it back up, later when it's time. And then boom, here we are. I'm 30 years old. And like, it's been, whatever, 7 years since I probably played music with anybody. And, but it's so exciting now that we've already we've been talking about it for years, but are starting to make moves towards just, even if it just ends up being like jamming in my shop down in Dalton, like just as long as we're doing something together again. And that's just, I don't know, it's fun. I mean, it's crazy to think about like how like encompassing and how like, so big the car scene like plays in my life, and then when I look back at it, and I could probably even say like music was more important, even just early on, like it was everything. But it mostly because like we were kids and we could just think about that.
And it was a very crucial point in not just yours but our lives.
Yeah,
like we were developing, we were kind of figuring out who we were as people. And like you said, not being as quote unquote angry anymore, even though you weren't an angry kid, but like you burn a lot of that out as a teenager. Yeah. I did the same thing. And it's the same correlation I have to music too, even though the last 10 years has been like a 50% attempt at keeping my solo music project alive. I'm recently as well in the same boat, trying to get the gears turning again and focus more on it, because like you, that passion is not only the first passion, but the main passion. It is. It moves me, not just other people, but it moves me in certain ways that cars or bikes or anything like that can't move me in. Music just has that power, and when you harness that power in a way to be able to create that, it's important to, in my opinion, it's important to follow that. So I feel like all of a sudden, boom, it's been 10, 12 years. And I almost feel like I've like lost that time, even though you and I both have been busy doing other things and building other brands and living life and doing all that. It's like, man, it's time. It's time. So I'm glad you're getting into it, because if the move down here to Chattanooga happens, hopefully in the next year, it'd be really cool to like, start playing music together, because we never did that. We both kind of existed in different parts of the country doing that. So that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And it's just so, I mean, playing and writing your own original music, it's such a definitive thing. It's so like, it's not like anything else. I mean, it's so pure. And so I don't know. That's what you were saying earlier. I'm just backtracking now, but
but I mean, that's that creativity. That it's almost like a discovery. There's literally nothing out there, and you're just playing with your guitar. You're laying tracks down. What I'll do is I'll sit down in my studio and I'll just have like a 4-chord progression in my head, or something I've just been kind of like playing on my acoustic guitar out in the living room a lot. And I'll be like, you know what? I can hear other guitar lines, other tracks layering this. So I'll just lay it down. Even if I'm not planning on being in the studio for an hour or more, or maybe I'm just going to be in there for an hour, I'll lay that 4-chord progression down. And the second I do that, it's like that door's been opened. And it's hard to open that door now, especially working at home and having my shop right there. And it's hard to like separate myself from the work. It's hard to get in my studio and get in that headspace and be like, all right, I'm going to spend the next like day or the whole afternoon in my studio. But once I get in there and I lay like that 4-chord progression down or something, it's like, oh, now we're rolling. Because now I'll add like that, like another guitar layer that I could hear in my head, and now it's there. Now it's tangible. And now it's like, all right. So it's that discovery, I guess, of it was out there in the ether or just in your head, and now it's tangible and you can actually hear it. That excitement it serves as motivation too. So I think once you guys start playing more, and you already know this, the second you guys set up and like jam for the first time, it's like, let's do this.
I know. And we've talked about it so many times where we're like, okay, well, we'll just make sure that we're not trying to do much with it. We just want to write a few songs, play a few things, get real tight, like together as musicians again, and then maybe like play a couple of small venues in Chattanooga, because like the Chattanooga music scene is growing right now. It's pretty cool to kind of watch it from this perspective now. And that would just be fun to go play in a room full of like 25 people or whatever, and not worry about recording or getting merchandise or anything like that, or going on the road. Like, one, we don't have time, and two, and that's just, we don't want to do it the wrong way. And we're not 21, we're not 18 anymore. Like, we really couldn't. But I think that we're all kind of in that same position, where we just kind of want to do that. Like, just kind of check that off because we all feel like we left it at the wrong time, and not in the wrong way, but just like, if we just didn't quite finish.
There's no closure.
Yeah, there's no closure. Yeah. That's exactly right.
And I feel the same way.
Yeah, yeah. And not that, we're going to play for 6 months and then like never touch an instrument again. But that's just, yeah, we kind of want to be able to just see it through.
It'll probably help in other aspects of your life too, because it does for me.
Oh yeah.
Like, whether or not it just serves as therapy and you just feel better about everything else, and you can hit other projects with a clearer mind or something like that, because you're just, those emotions are just getting out through the music. That's the way that's how it serves me. So I've been really motivated to get back into it too. So it's really cool that you guys have done that. So when you were playing music mostly full-time-ish, whatever you'd want to call that, when you were like in the heart of it, were you kind of like playing with cars as well? Or were you like riding motocross a little bit? Were you working at the bike shop and kind of balancing all that stuff out?
Yeah. So I was in the thick of it, playing music all the time. I was mostly a college kid at that point. And so just going to school, I lived like a couple miles away from school. I worked at a bicycle shop a mile away from home, and I rode bikes, just like trendy, like hipster kid, or like fixed gear track bikes and stuff for fun, because it was so easy for us to work on them, and it was hard to break them, and they're just fun and fast. And so we could all ride together. And I had, growing up, being a kid, you just ride bikes in the neighborhood with everybody. Yeah, I'd always found myself on two wheels of some sort. And by that point, I wasn't really riding like dirt bikes or ATVs anymore. And that was all just kind of being a kid. And I did that then. But I was working at the bike shop. I think I started there when I was 20 years old, and I was there until I was 25. And that was just, even being in that bicycle shop was the most important, that was a huge transitional point for me. You're a kid, you're just growing up. So like every 6 months you're a different person, or like things happen in your life or whatever, but that's developmental years. And, I just learned so much, just having like so many people in and out of my life at that point. And Shane Adams, my boss, the owner of the bike shop, was, and still is, a very close friend of mine. We talk and hang out.
Dude seems like a rock of a human being to have in your life. Oh, because I've had the opportunity to meet and hang out with him, and he's like, yeah, he seems like a rock.
He really
is.
Yeah, he really is. He's a great idol. Yeah. And that was something just so motivating. Like, he just taught me so much. Not even like trying to teach lessons or whatever.
Just having a mentor in your life, like a person that's kind of
absolutely
figured it out.
Yeah, and I had dropped out of college, and I was just being a scumbag, like wanting to play music, and was in the car scene and stuff, and it was like kind of halfway motivated, riding bikes and then just like having conversations with him, and it just showed light on so many different things. And like I went back to school because I figured out like what I really wanted to do because of the skills I had developed while working at the bike shop, and the skill set of like working with people and customer service and building a business. And so I went back and got my business degree. I was working on an education degree, and because I was like, well, I'm pretty good at this, so I'll just do that. But I wasn't passionate about it, and I wasn't doing well in the education part of it, and so I dropped out. So when I went back to school, just honestly, I remember the conversation Shane and I had, and I was just like, yeah, I just want to go back to school and do this right. And I think getting a business degree and becoming a more well-rounded business person is the way to do it, because I was finding out that I liked the education aspect of school, getting an educational degree,
right?
Because I'd like to, how how do I explain this? Whenever I worked at the bike shop, if like a customer came in and we were talking about cycling, or they were getting into cycling, or they were getting into a different style of cycling, I used my educational experience to quickly decipher, what best suits this person's lifestyle or their needs or what they want to do, and find the right product for them. And so when I went back to school and got my business degree, it was really cool just being able to correlate everything I learned at the bike shop and just put it together, because it was so neat. I was like in class, like, oh, I remember doing this kind of stuff and working on customer service and these things. Like it was neat to have that real world experience and then like translate it into school. And honestly, not that I'm saying like you have to have a degree to do anything in the world, because I don't believe that.
Right.
But that was a goal for me. It was a personal goal for me, and I just wanted to have that piece of paper. And because as a kid, I had a hard time of like keeping myself motivated to really like accomplish something that big. And so, I was in my early 20s and like in a college classroom with like people that were like 19. I felt weird, but I just did it. Head down and like eyes forward, and
focus is hard.
Yeah, and Carly played a huge part in that too, because it took a while. I was working full time, 2 jobs, riding bikes all the time and building Riverside, and I had Adrift Productions and the photography on the side, and then Carly came into my life a little over 4 years ago, and I was like doing, night classes, like 1 or 2 classes a semester, and summer school too as well. And I just wanted to grind hard and get that done. And just she helped me so much with just like keeping focused.
Yeah.
And it was cool. And I got my piece of paper and I felt good about it. And it was, and that was it. But I'm happy I did that, because I wanted to become a more well-rounded business person, so I could translate that into Riverside and building that as a brand and a company or as a business. And like,
yeah, it wasn't wasted time at all. The things you learned have obviously already allowed you to move in better positions for what you're basically making a passion, your career, so that was definitely worthwhile. It's not like you went back to school merely to focus for the sake of focusing to like that reward for something that it doesn't correlate to your life now at all. Like what you did obviously correlates to what you're doing now. So that's like an even bigger reward for sure. Well, talking about that, because I don't want to just glaze over Adrift, because I know you wanted to talk about that too. So when Adrift was basically a blog, right? Didn't you start that as like you got into photography?
Yeah, I had been into photography coming from the music scene. Like I always liked how there would be, because back then not everybody had cameras, and the right. interest in like shooting photographs just wasn't there. And so it was really neat because I had a buddy who would shoot the bands and shoot shows and stuff, and like that was so cool to me. And this was like 2005, 2004, whatever. So it piqued my interest, and I could see it in my head. And I remember being in school, taking like a photography class in high school, and a buddy of mine that I played music with, Jeremy at the time, we both learned how to use like Photoshop and a few other things just in class in high school. And I thought that was really neat. So there was like a pathway, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it yet, and or what it was going to turn into yet. And then so I picked up a camera, I think like 07 or something, 08 or 06, 07. And I got my first like little cheap DSLR, and just started shooting like some architecture stuff, some things that I just kind of thought was neat. And I shot some bands and live music and whatnot, and a little bit of car stuff. But even then, that was really early on. Like in my experience in the car scene.
But you were kind of into cars at that point?
Oh yeah. I'd been into cars since I was a kid.
Right.
I didn't come from like a car family, but like my dad's not like a car guy, but I just had an interest. Like when I remember being in elementary school, like kids playing with like Pokemon cards, and I would bring like a bucket of Hot Wheels cars to the playground and like build little cool tracks and stuff. Like I was obsessed with that, and it never left. And so I just and that was the thing too with like dirt bikes and 4-wheelers and bicycles. It was like anything on wheels. I just floated towards. But yeah. So with photography, like it just was a natural progression. I just found myself going to more car shows and car events, and here I am, like shooting cars all the time. And this was like, I would say 2008, 2009, I was regularly shooting cars and really getting into, like the blog sites like Fat Lace and Hella Flush and Stance Works and Can I Be Eat and all those in that same kind of general time frame.
Those are developmental years for all those websites.
Oh, yeah.
Like late 2000s coming into 2010 is when all of those really started to be on like everybody's mind or on their Facebook pages. And yeah.
And I loved being a part of, like, I was a Mark IV kid, so I had Volkswagens when I was younger, and and being on VW Vortex, and it was just like, I love seeing these build threads and people shooting them, and I was like, I can shoot my build thread and it would look better. So I got more into wanting to become a better photographer, and with that kind of automotive style to it, and that's really what started. I mean, just trying to shoot my own stuff for forums and watching, or just like kind of watching the progression of those blog sites. And then I think it was about 2012, my good friend Brad Robinson and I, we sat down and we were like, let's start like a blog site. Like, that would just be fun. Not with like a forum or anything on it, but I really liked how, like my home screen on my computer was always like, Stance Works or Can I Beat or whatever. And I loved reading those articles, like clicking on them, looking at the amazing photography, sometimes videos, and then just reading the story about it. I wanted to know about the build and the builder and the person on with those cars and the motivation. And I wanted to see like event coverage, and that was so fascinating to me. And so we did that. We started Adrift in like 2012, and honestly, I get asked a lot about like where the name came from, and there's not like a great story or a meaning or anything behind it. I literally had like a list in my phone, a note list of like song titles or like songs I'd been working on, and by that point, I wasn't really playing music anymore, and I just had all this like stuff,
ideas.
Yeah,
I do the same thing.
Yeah, and I was like, and we were sitting down at like a Panera Bread or something, just like drinking coffee, eating sandwiches, and talking like, what are we going to call this? And I was like, I have no idea. I have no clue where this is going.
Yeah.
And I pulled my phone out and I went down that list, and I was just like, I like the word Adrift, and this is kind of cool. And that was really literally it. I was like, I like the way it sounds. And so that's where the name came from.
Well, that's as easy as it gets, though.
Yeah.
Because I as well have like a note section in my phone that's a mile long at this point of not just like lyrics for music I'm thinking of, like if I'm just out and about or driving in the car and I'm thinking, but names.
Yeah.
I think.
Like titles for things.
Yes. I think you and I have had this conversation before where I love the idea, like I love good band names or just branding names in general, company names or whatever. And yeah, I've got a list of that stuff too. Yeah. There's so many, and they're like ones that I've never shared with my friends because I don't want any of them coming out, because I'm like, I've got all these ideas that I'll never have the time for. But like The Rising Sea, like my music project name, that was kind of a similar like natural just thinking, because I always like nautical themes, and I like the dismal idea of like the sea at night, somebody trying to sail the sea at night, and it's like this like, yeah, it was natural. So Adrift is kind of, I understand that. And all of a sudden it's almost like you have this eureka moment where you're like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
But it was so like you stress yourself thin trying to think up a name, and then like the natural one that falls into place is like the most perfect one.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the similar thing with Riverside. Like when we were trying to come up with a name for this potential car show idea, I mean, I've got a Facebook group with a bunch of my buddies, and I literally was like, hey, theoretically, if I were to start a car show, what would it be called? and I don't want it to have car in it or like stance, anything weird, cringy. I don't want any of that in it.
Right.
Like I want it to be completely disconnected, the name, from anything that has to do with automobiles. But I want it to be Chattanooga centered. And that was it. I put like a like a, I don't know, like a little bullet point list on that post of asking my friends what they thought. And I think I put like, Scenic City or Rock City and all these other things that are like Chattanooga themed things. I was like, let's play with the words and just figure something out. And the pavilion that we host our event in is the road. It's on the road, Ridgeway Boulevard, that connects right there at the corner of the pavilion to Riverside Drive. And we have the Tennessee River comes straight through downtown. And I don't know, man. It's just a kind of a nautical thing, like Adrift and stuff. And my dad grew up on the water, and he kind of raised me on the water too. So I think I just kind of naturally progressed toward the water style of things. And I like that. And just Riverside came out, and I wanted it to be more than just one word. So Riverside Chattanooga is technically like the business name. And then the main event that we host is the spring meet. And I just wanted it to be called like a meet or a get together or some sort. I didn't want to put like show in the title, because that kind of indicates that there's going to be like awards or trophies or something like that.
And that should be noted that anyone who isn't familiar with Riverside is that there's no like classes or awards. It's like a giant car meet. It's like a sanctioned car meet with vendors and food trucks, and I love that. And our other good friend Nick, who was on Simply Clean, has like the same idea as far as like no awards. Yeah, and I think those between you and Nick, I think you guys both have like the right idea.
It's not a competition.
No,
and that's literally Simply Clean's like saying
slogan.
Slogan. Yeah. And that's.
I think we need that more now than ever.
Yeah,
because it just seems like with the internet, the growth of Instagram, all that stuff. There's a lot of kids out there that and I was one of them. I think we both were 10, 12 years ago. But we've all kind of grown up, and it's almost like our obligation to like do things the way we think they should be done, and hope that people follow suit. And I think that's great, because it is we're just sharing a passion with other people. There shouldn't be any race. Not that there's anything wrong with car shows that are traditional style car shows that give awards out, but I like the idea of like a giant car meet that's just a little bit more sanctioned.
Yeah.
But with Adrift, you guys were doing like photography. Is like photography based. You kind of started it over the whole grounds that you wanted to document your automotive projects aesthetically looking good. Because I was on VW Vortex way back in the day too, and that was like the hub for. I mean, my Volkswagen. I did a build thread on my Volkswagen. I maybe a couple other cars too. I can't remember as far as the extensive build thread goes. And I've always had like an eye for photo composition and stuff. I've never been a photographer. I've got a DSLR. I play with it. I like the composition for photos, but post work always just drains me, between my color deficiency and just editing photos, just the worst. But that being said, I always liked build threads as well. I liked, when I had the time at least, I loved sitting down and going through all the photos that I took, detailing all of the things I was doing to the car or notable things on the car and describing everything out. I loved that. But at what point did you want to transform that into a car show? Was it because this is the 5th year you've done Riverside, but like had you wanted to do kind of more of like not just a car meet, but more of like a car show way before that with the Adrift name?
So, it's a great question.
So I'm actually genuinely curious. These are questions I haven't actually asked you as a friend, and now with like people listening, it's like a perfect opportunity to.
Yeah, and I've never really even like talked about, I guess, how it, we sat down Adrift and put it to rest, and then started Riverside, because it was pretty much like back to back.
Yep.
And so with Adrift, I mean, that was purely just the focus. I mean, we accomplished what we wanted to do. I kind of wish we would have kept going with it, but I mean, I was shooting all the time. I mean, I had a camera attached to my hand like everywhere I went. And I traveled all over to go to shows, East Coast wise. I say that to you. You're like, I travel to Europe like 15 times a year.
No.
But you know what I mean. but I just mean like I was constantly like shooting cars and having fun with it, and wanted to kind of, build that fun, just little blog site that people could go and click on an article and read a few things. We had, I think, like 5 photographers at the time shooting with Adrift, and like people that were like mind-blowingly great to me, photographers. And my good friend Ethan Watson, that was in Savannah, that's now in I think like right outside Portland, or maybe in Portland,
Oregon, Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Antoine Spignardo, who came from Tampa, is now in LA, and is a professional photographer. He's like a I don't know, like a fashion photographer.
That's great.
But like, and then and Courtney Cutchin, and she's, man, like, I remember seeing her stuff early on, and I was like, this girl's got it. Like,
Pacific Northwest, right? Isn't she from the Pacific Northwest?
She's in NorCal. She's in
NorCal. That's right. Yeah.
She's like Bay Area.
Yeah, I know her. Yeah.
And yeah, we were just like friends on the internet, and
Right.
But she was shooting stuff all the time, and I loved her style, and like her eye was just great. And me and Brad and her, like, we just talked to her like, hey, we kind of want to, get more people in other areas to shoot, to add stuff to Riverside. I don't want to say like shoot for it, like that's not
Or Adrift at that time.
Yeah,
No.
sorry. Yeah, Adrift on Riverside.
Yep.
And yeah, so Courtney started there, and she shot with us and put quite a few articles on Adrift's page for a while, and his stuff was incredible. And
Yeah, she's a phenomenal photographer.
She took off.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying that Adrift by any means like was her
gave her that platform.
Yeah. I mean, just her work alone did that.
Right.
And it's so great. I mean, even now, like looking at her stuff today, I mean, she's like made an
Accomplished.
huge name for herself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, extremely accomplished. And it's great to watch that. Super proud of her and where she's going with it. But yeah, I mean, and that was it. We shot our friends' cars, and we went to a couple of events, and we did a couple of fun articles, and then it just kind of fizzled, honestly. Like it fizzled a little bit because like Brad and I, we were both just like, I moved I moved to Chattanooga, and he moved out of Chattanooga into Georgia, and then kind of like we flip-flopped. And then like he was changing his job or something, and I changed my job. We just got busy.
Yeah, life takes over.
Yeah, we just kind of let it go, let it slide. And honestly, and this was like 2015, kind of whenever we kind of hung it up. And by that point, like everybody had a camera, and everybody had a site, and everybody was shooting for stuff. And
yeah, things were becoming oversaturated.
Yeah, it really was. And I was honestly just annoyed. And not because I was like, well, I want the limelight. That wasn't the point. Like it was oversaturated, and it wasn't fun anymore.
Right.
And so and I still love photography, and I will do more with that again when the time's right for me, because I mean that's a long-term thing. Just like playing music, it's the exact same thing. I mean, I shot for so long and so frequently and so regularly, and I have like my own style and look and the way I want to do that like I'm just gonna hold on to that until I'm ready to kind of crack it open again.
Right.
And just like playing music again. But yeah, so it was like 2015, kind of whenever that we were just like, we probably just won't renew the website this year, and we'll talk more about it later. But
and that's kind of when you started putting ideas together for a car show.
So transfer into the Riverside. I had been building a car event, car show, whatever, on paper and in my mind for, I don't know, probably since like, I'd say like 2008, 2009, because I'm an event person. I like to bring people together and do things together, and I set up like shows back in the days, and I like our friend group, we do a taco night, and we really did like every Monday,
right,
and then every Tuesday for years and years and years. So like I just like having people together and sharing time and experiences together, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to car shows all the time. Maybe like this would be kind of cool. Like if I did one, I would take some influence from these events, and this is how I would do it differently, or this is what I would take from them as influence, and then this is what I wouldn't do, and just for fun, really, it was just like maybe one day I'll do something with that, but I doubt it. Like that's crazy to think about for me. And then so 2014, I started talking to my good friend Matt Scuderick, and I was like, hey, I've got an idea for like a little car show in Chattanooga, because the car scene in Chattanooga wasn't like big by any means. But but it was here. Like there was a good one, and there used to be little weekly meets, like European car. I went to like a Tennessee Euros meet every Wednesday for years, and like that was just like hanging out in a parking lot with like 15 people. But I did that for years. Like that was so much fun to me. Every Wednesday night, I'd drive up to Chattanooga from Dalton, and we go eat burritos or pizza or whatever, and talk about Volkswagens in the parking lot with like strangers, and until we all became close friends. And I loved that. And I was like, maybe I could do something like that. Like that would be easy enough. And so with the help from, like my buddies in our taco night group and Matt Skodolaric, Matt and I really were like, okay, so fast forward to 2015, we got lunch together, and we sat down at the table, and I was like, hey man, I want to do this. Like I've got some really good ideas. I've got some stuff on paper. He and I have been really talking about it for a couple of years, and I didn't think I could do it without his help, because he has so many connections in Chattanooga and really knew, the logistics on like street closures and event permits and how to get, food sales and beer sales in places. And I was like, if we're going to do it, we got to do it right. But I mean, I had like notes, and I'd like talk to a bunch of event organizers that I've become friends with over the years, especially Nikolai with Simply Clean, and just like, okay, this is what I want to do. I don't know if this is a real thing yet, but in 2015, I mean, we sat down at that lunch table and we're like, yeah, we're doing it now. So 2016 was the first year of Riverside, and that was after a long time of really building it out and the vision that I had, that I wanted to bring to life. And
but that's a good thing though, because it almost plays on the saying measure twice, cut once idea.
Oh yeah,
because I'm the same way. I feel like I never jumped straight in. So the fact that you'd had all this stuff kind of even just in your head for so long, that when you finally pulled the trigger, especially with the people that you have now kind of corralled that brought different things at the table or different strengths, yeah, it almost seems like, all right, we're ready. And everything just kind of goes.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way I could have done this by myself. And I mean, I can't even, like Lucas Ferretti, he's been on the Riverside board. He's been a partner for a long time through all of this. I mean, his vision and his connections and the way, like, he and I are so similar in so many like styles when it comes to the car community.
Is he from Chattanooga?
No, he's actually from New York.
Oh, he is? Okay, I didn't know that.
I don't know how long he's been living here though.
Huh. But since the first year of Riverside, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, he's been here for at least, I don't know. He's gonna hate me for not knowing this, but I would probably guess like 8 years or 10 years or something.
Yep.
But no, I mean he's New York through and through, and but we've been friends in the car scene for since he's been here. I would assume. But anyway, Lucas and Russ, he's like our IT guy. Man, he's crazy.
He's the one that came up with the app too.
Yeah, he built this phone app. And it's mind blowing how well it's worked out.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and even though you and I sorted things out, or kind of you and I for the show for vending and all that stuff, I did download the app and like went through it just because I was interested in it, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
And the thing that platform, we're going to use it for more than just like registration for the show.
Good. Yeah,
so, like we've got the online store on it. You can buy a T-shirt or stickers or whatever from there. You can during showtime, you can check on your registration, like, I guess like status or whatever. You can edit your registrations. You can do all kinds of stuff on there.
You should bring like not Adrift, but add what you were doing with that into the app.
Yeah.
And have like build threads, and I'm sure it's stuff you've already thought about, but that'd be really cool to like integrate that.
I won't talk too much about it.
I'm sure there's some ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, there are definitely some ideas, and it's something that I can, every time we talk about it with Russ, I mean, I can see that like the spark in his eye. He's excited.
Yeah.
And he's a genius. So like he's building some cool stuff.
That's
awesome.
Awesome.
The app will be around for a long time, and some great things will come from it.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, we had like our first like staff meeting kind of an idea. And we just got our buddies together, like, hey, all right, we're doing this. This is a thing. It's going to happen. We already have a name for it. We already have a location for it. We knew it was going to be at the First Tennessee Pavilion, and it couldn't be anywhere else. It needed to be in an iconic location.
Yeah, that's crucial.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things on my kind of to-do list early on was I wanted to be in a Chattanooga, like, special, visually appealing venue. And it needs to be obvious where it is and what town it's in and what town it represents. And I've got a lot of pride in that. And it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
From there.
Yeah. It's perfect too, because for someone who's only passed through Chattanooga in the past, on their way south or
you can see
whatever,
it from the interstate.
Yeah, it reflects, because I've always seen Chattanooga as a like an old industrial town in the valley type thing, and that where you hold the show in a pavilion is like, it directly reflects what my visual like thought about Chattanooga has always been. So yeah, it's worked for someone who's not from Tennessee. It works like
That's
where the show
hear.
is. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because even when my first year was your third year of the show, 2017.
No, 2018.
You're right, 2018. That was still the third year though, right?
That was year 3.
Yeah, that's right.
16, 17, 18.
Up until that point, I'd seen photos of the show, and just seeing the photos of the show inside the old pavilion, that old industrial-looking metal
Big
pavilion.
open air, 50,000 square foot pavilion.
Yeah, it was like, man, that's Tennessee. That's like South Tennessee. That's Chattanooga.
Yeah.
So it worked. It was a perfect place for a show.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I want people to be able to see a photo or a video or anything from Riverside, and it be so obvious to them they know it's Riverside. It's whether you're parked inside or outside, because I mean, every show car or like event car, like approved vehicle, parks outside. It surrounds the pavilion, and it's there's not a bad parking spot.
No,
and that's critical. I've gone to so many car shows over the years that like it's just in some podunk like parking lot and you pay $50 to get in there or whatever, and like that's not right.
And I'm so happy that and people should know, like, you dive deep into this, like to the point where you're like laying out like an 8th scale, if not a
1/64th scale.
64th, okay.
Yeah.
I know the 8th is obviously would be huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a scale down layout of the show with like, the size of like what each car would be, and where exactly all the cars are going to be.
Yeah.
Everything's methodical, everything's planned out, and we share so many similar like, I don't want to say OCD. I guess it could be OCD.
Yeah,
but
it's methodical.
I love the fact that, and I remember us talking about this, the fact that you park all your cars at 45-degree angles out in the lot where the lines are.
Yeah.
Because parking them straight in a parking spot is the most boring.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like everybody's there to like get on the train at the parking ride or something, and the fact that you park everybody at 45-degree angles is much more aesthetically pleasing. It's way easier for photographers to shoot the cars from different angles and whatnot. And yeah, so it should be noted that you don't just rent the venue out and just these cars go there, those cars go there. It's like, no, this car goes here.
Yep.
That car will go here, and there's a method to the madness. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, we spend weeks. I mean, my staff and I, we've spent years together now, but we spend weeks before every single event where we'll have staff meetings at the venue in the rain and the cold, whatever, lining up cars, parking our cars, because there's 15 of us. We've got 15 cars.
So you get scale idea.
Yeah, and we'll actually set stuff up, and we try to change it up every year. I mean, every year there's a little differences.
And you need to. It's going to be the same venue.
Exactly.
You want to keep it a little fresh, a little different.
Yep. And that was the thing. Like I said earlier, I mean, there's not a bad parking spot, and so every vehicle needs a place. And it doesn't mean that if you register your car and you get approved, you're assigned a parking spot. That's not how it works.
Right.
You're going to park next to your buddies or whoever you pulled into the check-in station with, but you'll know when you show up to a Riverside event that you're not going to be parked next to a dumpster behind the building, like under a tree. Like, it's going to be in an area that
you want a car in.
Yeah.
Yep.
And photographers and people shooting video and stuff, there's not a bad area. So yeah, I mean, that's super important. And,
Yep.
And I want everybody to feel included and even if you're, if you're in a show car and you're parked into the show lot, like you don't feel like you're got second best, you know what I mean? Or like
Yep.
left out. And, because inside of our pavilion, like interior setup is set up only for vendors and booth cars and, food trucks.
Right.
And that was something that, the first 2 years I actually messed up on. So the first 2 years, I mean, the first year we didn't really know. I was like, I've got an idea. We're going to do, I mean, I had plenty of ideas, and I had plans. Most of them worked out, but it was honestly, when you're there, you're just along for the ride.
Right.
But, and hopefully you've planned enough and trained enough that it'll go smooth. And luckily, I mean, thankfully our first year was incredible, but the layout for the interior was about, there's like 4 rows inside, and the outer 2 rows had vendors and booth cars. And then the inner 2 rows had like show cars, but there was that separation. There were people who parked outside and people who parked inside, and there was no rhythm or reason why there were cars.
Yep.
It just happened that way. And that comes from inexperience. I mean, we didn't know. And, it worked out. It went smooth. It looked great. And, there wasn't really a problem. People were cool with that, how it all set up. But I just knew that wasn't how I wanted it. So after that, I think 2018, we implemented insides only for vendors and booth cars, because I wanted more vendors and high quality vendors. And I wanted super high quality vendor booth cars. And I had a vision in my head of how I wanted them all kind of laid out, and not in just like, a perfectly parked like row of vehicles, like a car lot at Honda down the street. And, I wanted it to be really cool setup. I've seen so many other events, especially in Europe, how like cars will be kind of scattered around.
It's like haphazard, but with a method to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I see the same thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So myself and a couple of other our staff members we spend the morning of the event, when we're checking in vendors and bringing in booth cars and getting everybody set up. I spend as much time as needed with every single vendor and their booth car drivers, personally helping them bring that vision to life, because I want their booth to look great and their booth cars to look great. I don't want anything cluttered, not because I want, Riverside standard, but I want their businesses to succeed as well. And I want them to be represented well. So anything that's behind them, in front of them, beside them is going to look purposeful.
Right.
And, so yeah, so we do that. We spend time with everybody, making sure everything is smooth and easy and calculated and looks great, and there's good walking. You don't have to worry about people, squeezing between cars and scratching them with their keys or on accident or whatever. And every vehicle inside and outside the pavilion can have photos taken of it or video, and it not be just like tucked away, hidden behind a bunch of stuff. And, but yeah, those are just those little details that I don't know. I don't want to speak for any other like event organizers or anything like that, but those are things that are important to me. And I've been to plenty of events that just, it's just come park in these parking lots. All right. See ya. Thanks.
Yeah. One, it shows that you pay mind to that stuff.
Yeah.
From someone who has come in from the outside to just attend the show, it's who appreciates those details. Like I noticed that the first time I came, it was like, oh, everything is in its place for a reason. It's it's not like everybody just pulled in and it just so happened to like work out that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great thing to have a focus on, because even if somebody doesn't stop and think like, oh, this is all purposeful, it's all just working as they're walking through the cars. It's like, oh, this is this is, I can take a photo of that car and everything's like a haphazard method, basically.
Yeah, and I don't want everybody that walks in the front door to be like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is set up this way. Like I want them to walk in and be like, this, I'm just naturally kind of walking through the event, and it naturally is easy.
Yep.
And visually appealing. So that's what I like.
Well, and bringing it and bringing that down to Lucas and Scud and all the people that you've brought on. We should obviously bring in your most crucial, important person, Carly, who is now most recently your fiance.
Yeah.
So congratulations yet again.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So Carly is on the board. She's just as much a partner in this as the rest of us. And she is pivotal. And she and I, we met just a few months before the first Riverside in 2016. And so she's been there since
basically day one.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Day one of the actual
actual event.
Of the actual of the tangible event itself.
Yeah. And she's been to every event. But no, I mean, just her input and help and there's so many things. She's got her hand on everything, on every detail too. And it's so cool to get her perspective, because we're very different people, but we're so much alike in so many ways. And it's the cheesiest thing ever, but I mean, it's
not cheesy.
We're puzzle pieces together, but
yeah.
But I mean, in everything we do with our hobbies and passions and everything, I mean, I'm so thankful for her. But yeah, I mean, no, definitely Riverside. She plays a pivotal role in Riverside. I mean, she runs the booth. She manages all of our booth staff, and we've got 6 people or 7 people, I think, in the booth throughout the entire day. I mean, everything's organized. Her hand is on everything in there, from getting the food trucks set up and the choices and all. I mean, she knows how detail oriented I am, and she is just as well. And it's so great that it just lightens that load. And I mean, and everybody else does too, in their way, but it's just, Carly and I are together every single day. So she knows what I'm working on right now and tomorrow. And that's so helpful. That, she just kind of jumped in and was like, all right, I'm in your life, so I'm doing this too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And naturally, not forcefully,
right.
And it was exactly what I needed. And,
it's what a lot of us need.
Oh yeah, it really is.
So we're most, and I tell you this all the time, most guys that are still longing or searching for that, you've got it. So that's an amazing thing, because a lot of people, you see that the couples that you see, the other will support or just appreciate their other significant others' passions or endeavors, or
if you're lucky.
Yes.
Yeah.
It at the very get-go or at the bottom level.
Yeah.
But the fact that you guys not only have that, but the fact that you both, it's now become the two of you pushing this whole thing, and that she doesn't only help you because she feels obligated to, it's that she has a passion in this too.
Yeah, genuinely does.
Yes, that's what that's an incredible thing to see. And from the outside looking in, it's obvious that you guys both are on the same rails, and it's not like one's following the other. That's great.
Yeah. Even for example, I talked to a buddy of mine, about starting up an off-road meet, a gathering, a get-together, probably once a month or something. We go off-roading together and just get people in the community, in the off-roading community, to socialize and get to know each other and learn more trails and learn more trail etiquette and everything. But I had this idea, and I talked to Carly about it. I was just like, these are some thoughts I have. What do you think? And she was like, this is incredible. And then literally took the reins on it, because I was stretched too thin when we started talking about it. And I was like, I don't have time for this kind of stuff, but I want to do it because we're really into off-roading and spending time out in the woods and doing a lot of, we're like Toyotas and Jeeps and trucks and whatnot. And we like being out there, but yeah, I knew there was a disconnect in Chattanooga and surrounding areas of people
organization.
There's no organization.
Right.
And that was, no joke. It was a spark just went off in her. And, she took reins on that. So we host a monthly off-road meet called Chattanooga Offroad Monthly Meet, and, or Chattanooga Offroad. And, we've got people from all over that come. I mean, it's...
Dude, I was here over the 4th of July.
Yeah.
And we did one. It just so happened to fall on the same weekend you guys were doing it. And we had 2 people from Texas that were in town.
Yeah.
You know, that was just the one random weekend that I showed up.
Yeah.
Let alone, like you said, the people from Georgia that are coming up a lot now, bringing like loads of people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. And all over Tennessee too. And, and that's the thing. I mean, we want to go to different trails, different skill levels and everything, and work together building that off-road community, and you know, making sure that we're taking care of the environment and taking care of the trails and enjoying that the right way. Because I mean, once we get these groups together, I mean, there's been some meets we've had like 50 to 70 drivers at these events.
Right.
And I mean, if we go anywhere and touch grass with that many vehicles, it's gonna tear everything up. So like, we spent months and months and months developing like some leaders and groups and being able to split up. And, you know, I'll take probably 6 or 8 drivers and we'll go somewhere and we'll do a few trails. And then we've got another leader that'll take 8 or 10 drivers and they'll go do some other trails at different skill levels and different locations. And so we're still keeping that mind, you know, that like keeping that in front of our mind on, and working with the trail etiquette with people and working on recovery classes together. So we kind of all help each other and come together, and it's been really cool. But that was the thing, like that was just another avenue that I was like, man, this is another thing I got to do. You know?
Yep.
But I really want to do, and it needed to be done. But I
Right.
was just like, I just want to go off-roading with my buddies, but like, this needs to be done. And I'm not saying that I just kind of like shoved that off into Carly's lap. Like, she took ownership and just, I mean, really drove it. And the past 2 years, I mean, it has grown to be a big thing.
That's awesome.
I mean, every month we're hanging out with some people, and it doesn't just have to be on those monthly meets. We've got like a Facebook group and the Chattanooga Offroad Facebook group, and people come together in there and they'll just be like, hey, I'm going to go wheeling at this place at this time on this day or whatever. If anybody want to come with, you know, we're kind of doing this amount of time and this skill level or whatever. And that's something that she made. I mean, that was her vision. You know, I was just like, let's get a couple of trucks together regularly and go hang out in a parking lot and then go hit trails together. And she like really built this cool platform for everybody.
I mean, it's gotten me, every now and then I've thought about, oh, maybe I'll build like a 4-wheel drive off-road rig. And I never have. And to be honest, there's been so many other interests ahead of that. And clearly all the other nonsense that I have. But after the 4th of July coming down here and going out on the trails and stuff, I went home with an itch. I'm like, if I move to Chattanooga, Corey said it too on the way down here on our drive down, because Corey's looking at moving down here with me.
Yeah.
He said, man, if we move to Chattanooga, I think we're gonna have to build some off-road rigs. And I'm like, oh, absolutely. Yeah. So it already, it's already become a part of the Chattanooga like kit for me. It's like, oh, if I move to Chattanooga, like once I get settled in, I'm gonna have just to look for like some cool truck or SUV or something to like to join in on that with.
If you're looking to find more like expensive hobbies that take all your time and money, just hang out with me for like a couple of days. We'll fill that void.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can't sit still. Carly can't sit still either.
Man.
We're just like
we're all cut from the same cloth.
Oh,
and it's really cool to see that you and Carly are too, because you both, like you said, you both kind of, whether or not one or the other has an idea, but the other will like push the other or take the reins, like you said. So that's really cool, and it's cool that I'm not the only person that sees that. You know, that comes to Riverside or the Chattanooga Offroad Meets, to where it's like, oh, these two are totally like feeding off each other and working together on this. So that's really cool. You have a really special thing.
Yeah, it's back and forth. There's definitely not a like one leader in this relationship, and that's just how our relationship works. I mean, it works for us, and we're very happy with that. But I mean, she blows my mind every single day. Just like, I never had any of those like moments of like, what did I get myself into? You know, but no, I mean, she's just the most important thing. I mean, I didn't want anything to do with a relationship for a long time. Like I intentionally stayed single for a few years.
Yep.
And just wanted to focus on building cars with my friends and going to car shows and hanging out and taking photos and whatever, you know. And then she freaking came along and screwed that plan up.
Yep.
And it was so crazy. And I mean, the first night we met each other, I was like, this girl's important.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It was just so cool. And it took a lot for me. I was on my way to pick her up for our first date. And I had to psych myself up. I was like, don't be an idiot. Just be your most genuine self.
Right.
And like really. And I said, if this person is okay with that, then cool. And if not, cool.
Right.
Like whatever. And maybe she'll just be like a fun new friend or something that moved, because she was new to town. So like she didn't really have like a whole lot of friends in Chattanooga. And a buddy of ours, Finkel, or Logan Barnes, but we call him Finkel.
Yeah.
He introduced us and everything. And I was just like, oh man, if Finkel's introducing me to somebody, this is going to be weird. But it'll be a roller coaster. But no, I mean, like, it was, man, that first night. Like, we sat, I remember we went out and got some food and a couple of beers at a local place here in town. And we're just like, I remember sitting down and we ordered. And I was just like, okay, we're just going to talk, just have a good conversation. Just like, hey, welcome to Chattanooga. I'm weird. We'll probably run into like 10 of my friends tonight because this is where I hang out. And we did. We literally like my buddy CJ like walked in and pulled a chair up and hung it. And then I saw like a couple of my other friends like 5 feet away from me, like just genuinely happened to be around.
Right.
And yeah, no, I mean, like from that first conversation, I mean, we just haven't stopped laughing and having a good time together, just like doing this.
Yeah.
And so
that's great, man.
No, I mean, I love her. I really do. And it's been a wild ride, but yeah, I don't know, man. I never thought like I'm going to end up like marrying somebody one day. And then I met her and I'm so excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, no. And I'm happy for the two of you. Cause we both have exchanged stories of like those roller coasters, those dating different people, and it's always ended either terribly or in flames. And then I was the same way. I took like 4 years to just not date. I started a business. I focused on more things, and same deal. And then went through a relationship that like was like, nope, like should have just kept waiting. And so back on those rails, and getting things done. And that's kind of, I'm at where you were when you met Carly, where it's like, nope, I'm going to focus and be the best person I can be, but focus on everything that I want to achieve. And then, and God willing, that person will fit right in on that same avenue. And so it's really cool. It's really cool to see that you guys have that, because that's like the ultimate goal, if you want to call it that. That's like the ultimate goal, is to not just have somebody who tolerates your, and gives you your space. And that's fine. I'd say the majority of people have that, where it's like the majority of like quote unquote like good relationships or good marriages, is he's got his thing, I've got mine. It's his therapy, goes in the shop, whatever. It's cool, and that'd be fine too. But the ultimate goal is to share those same passions, even if you're introduced to that passion. Because Carly's told me plenty of times on just one-on-one conversations with her, where she's like, I didn't like really know anything about cars, or like I wasn't immersed in that community until I met Mason. And now I've realized that this is something that like I actually thoroughly enjoy. And so it's cool that it doesn't have to be somebody that you meet in a certain community either. It could be someone that's like, wow, no, this is actually really cool. And it's awesome that you guys share that. Yeah,
and I mean, she's done the same thing with me too. Like she's a comedian.
Yeah, the comedy. Yeah, you were saying that.
So she does stand up comedy, and she used to do it a lot.
Right.
Before I met her, I mean, she's from Knoxville, and she did comedy there all the time, and did like festivals, and was constantly just making people laugh, because that's like the coolest thing ever, and was really good at it. And then she lived in Asheville, North Carolina for a while, and there's an incredible comedy scene there, and she was a huge part of it. And like me, she liked creating events and things for people to come together and do things together. And like, I just happened to want people to hang out in parking lots with cars, and she wanted people to like tell funny jokes and make fun of themselves on stage.
Right.
Like, but we both played that role. And And that was just so cool. I mean, when she moved to Chattanooga and she kind of got into like the comedy scene here, and there's really not a big one here. There's a great one here. I mean, it's a lot of fun, a lot of great people, but it just kind of like, they float around their handful of bars and doing their mic nights and stuff. And this is coming from somebody who I had zero experience in.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to get into comedy, but I really enjoy laughing at things. So
yeah,
like most people should. But no, I mean, she started taking me some of these open mic nights, and I was just dying, loving
that's awesome.
it. But that was the thing. Like, she showed me this community and this lifestyle that I'd never even knew existed, and I'm so thankful to know about it. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to get into doing comedy, because I'm not a funny person, but and I couldn't do that at all. That's more power to them. But
yeah, that's an insane path.
Yeah,
especially to grind in and and push through the buckets of manure you eat.
Yeah,
like sometimes night after night. Because I listen to a lot of podcasts of like comedians and stuff.
Yeah,
and successful ones, and they talk about their path and their career, and it's like, oh my gosh, how do you like?
Yeah,
and you don't have any tools. It's you. It's your mouth.
It's you.
It's your brain and your mouth.
Yeah.
Sometimes your hands.
Yeah, and
you stand up there, and you just talk.
Yeah,
and you rely on the crowd, like enjoying what you have to say and how you're saying it.
Yeah, that's different every time, everywhere,
every
day.
Yeah, it takes a whole different breed of person. That's for sure.
Yeah,
but no, it's great that you guys have that.
Yeah,
together. That appreciation for each other and each other's passions. So
yeah.
So then moving forward, I mean, you guys have obviously grown together as Riverside has grown. Mm-hmm. We're 2 days away from the 5th year of Riverside. And I mean, like I said already, like, I'm super excited to be a part of it in more of a role than years prior, because I've just flown down and kind of been a spectator. So I'm super honored to be a part of the show. Yeah, I'm stoked. You wanted TGC, as part of like the Riverside booth area, you know what I mean? We're kind of assimilated into the same section. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so cool to be in this position now. Like, where I remember looking back on, going to car shows and looking at the internet, like the car scene on the internet and the community in like 2011, 2012, 2013, and just like the massive development of how like Instagram impacted the car scene and all over, and how it connected all of us so quickly. And I'm super excited about having the Governor's Club at Riverside, because I was a fanboy in like 2013. Here's these people, like, they're just cruising with their buddies in Ocean City, just like, or wherever they are, or even it was 2013 when you came to SoHo, right? With the 190E.
Yeah, I mean, Mercedes.
And that was like, that was so cool. I was like, there's these influential people that have so much, I don't know, to just contribute to this community, and like, here we all are, and it's so cool how like how my little small town car show is bringing like so many people together, and that's what I'm trying to keep myself in the mindset of. There's like kids now that were me 10 years ago,
right?
And they're thinking, and they're living these are their times.
Right.
And all I want Riverside to do is bring some of that old school influence that we enjoyed back then, and to the community today and to the events of today, and give that, like, that's just my little gift or whatever. Maybe not even a gift. Maybe just like my little, like, here's my taste. This is what I took from it. Yep. And I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. And for years to come, like wherever it goes from here.
Well, I mean, and you look at it as a little thing, but I looked at TGC as a little thing, and still kind of do. But like 2013 SoHo was, it's and you feel the same with Riverside, but it's always humbling to hear people who are now your friends say that. We're like, oh, like I saw the Governor's Club, 7 or 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it made an impact on me, no matter how big or small that may have been. It was a long lasting like impression of any sort. When we drove 24 hours down there after we got out of work. I worked a 12-hour day on that Friday. We left at 5 p.m. We got into, it was a little under 24 hours, but we got into town at like 2 p.m. on Saturday afternoon after driving straight, detailed the car, cruised the strip, hung out that night, got dinner, and headed home Sunday morning. So that, 20 hours to be back for work on Monday morning.
And I live an hour and 45 minutes from here.
Yeah, and we were 4 people deep in a 190 Mercedes, and 2 of which were 6'5".
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like, so that whole trip for me wasn't, oh, we're going to go down there, because we had a TGC meet Sunday morning before we headed out of town. We had a whole bunch of Mercedes parked on the green down on Edelweiss right there, and that's like a real fond memory for me. But never once did I think like, oh, there's gonna be some people in Helen that are gonna like see like what we're doing and be like, oh, like that's a cool thing. These guys are showing up. They got their old cars, and you know, like you said that you kind of saw, because that was the first year that you and I kind of like met, I guess.
Yeah. I'm sure we crossed paths in there. I remember actually, sorry to interrupt, but I remember seeing your car and like a bunch of these people, like influential photographers and stuff that I mean, especially then, because I mean, I was shooting all the time, and I was like, man, like they're just taking photos of this car, like this, and I knew the car because I knew who you were, and I was like, I don't want pictures.
Yeah.
But I remember just kind of like creepily like walking by at some point in a parking lot or whatever, and just like, man, this is cool. Like it's crazy. You drove down here and then you're going back home or whatever. But
that's the way people see Riverside too now.
Yeah.
You know, because you're just focused on what you're doing, making sure you've dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's, when people on the outside are seeing Riverside as something so much bigger than what you see it as. And I think you've obviously gotten to the point where you realize it's reach now, because there's people coming from, I mean, we drove a rental van down here with our whole booth set up, 20 hours down here to be a part of it, rain or shine, coronavirus or no coronavirus.
Yeah. Oh no.
And but yeah, so your thing as well has become a very influential catalyst for people who it's helping shape where they may or may not go in this community, or what they may do and how they may do it.
And that's really cool. That's so crazy to think that it would have that type of impact. And I mean, and I hope it does.
It does. Yeah, it definitely does.
And it's really cool. I mean, it's really cool to see like majority of the vehicles and vendors and stuff coming into Riverside every single year coming from out of state. I mean, like all over the Midwest, Northeast, especially Florida. Man.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida. And I remember going to shows all over the East Coast, and like Florida people don't like leaving Florida. And
man, and we talked about it yesterday. Like the Fortune Mine guys coming up from Miami, that's a haul. Yeah.
That's so cool. Like,
yeah.
And that, I mean, I'm just so thankful for, man. It's just that people want to come from where, I mean, if it was more than 20 minutes down the road, I'm just like, that's cool. I'm appreciative of that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So
well, I'm excited, man. I know the weather's looking half and half, but
to be expected.
I mean, it's early spring.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be an amazing time. We've got the pre-meet tomorrow night in Chattanooga, and we've got the show Saturday. We've got the after meet, right?
Yeah, after meet Saturday.
Dustin does the Okie Doke.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, Okie Doke brand. Dustin Williams hosts the official after meet.
Yep.
So by the time you're listening to this, it's already happened.
Well, as we've been sitting here, I'm thinking, well, it's Thursday.
Let's post her up, dude.
I usually try to, to get the YouTube part up. It takes hours because it's like HD video, and we've got a lot of work to do before tomorrow. But if you guys are hearing this and it's not March 14th yet, I put some serious work in. Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do on the cars before tomorrow, and so maybe we'll see how the rest of the day goes.
That'd be cool.
If you're hearing this on Monday morning at work or on your commute to work, then there was just an insurmountable amount of stuff to get done. But if you're hearing this March 13th, Friday the 13th, I have not slept.
Yeah. I'm probably in the shop now.
Yeah.
Finishing up some stuff.
I'm going to be editing this from the shop, your shop in Dalton probably. Yeah. And we can go over a few different things. I mean, we're an hour and a half in. I mean, we're we've kind of covered a lot of the bases. I mean, there's a few questions that came in that we could probably go over real quick. But we covered a lot of the stuff that I wanted to talk about with you. We covered, Adrift. We covered the beginning of Riverside. There's a few. I got to ask TD's question. TD's always asks a question. I got to at least always bring in one of those. He wanted to know, he said, how many people have called you Gavin Mason?
So that's a good one. All of them.
All the people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just growing up, especially like in school and stuff, where first day of class and the teacher's calling out like names or call and roll or whatever. Like it's always confusing because my first name is not Mason. So like most people don't know that, but my first name's Adam, but I go by Mason, my middle name.
Yeah.
And which my great grandmother gave me. That she named me after the packaging jar, so the Mason jar.
Yep.
Made by Ball, I guess. I don't know.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then my last name's Gavin, but yeah. So those could all three be first names, and it's always really funny, like when people who are reading my name for the first time or whatever, they don't know what to call me, and so I answered all of them. Honestly, all of them. But in any time, which you saw yesterday, I mean, anytime I go anywhere and if somebody asks me my name, I just say Gavin.
Oh, Wendy's?
Yeah. We were at Wendy's. Yeah. And the guy was asking my name for the order. I just say Gavin. Yeah.
That particular experience will be long lasting with me.
It'll be an experience.
It'll
be a memory that won't go away.
That Wendy's. Where were we? Were just Atlanta.
Yeah, somewhere in Atlanta.
Wendy's in Atlanta.
It was a wild moment.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
But yeah, no. So to answer that question, a lot of people.
Yeah. And I'm sure Dylan didn't even know like how deep that went. It's probably just hilarious. Like, oh, Gavin's a first name. So it's Mason.
Yeah.
But that's a good expansion on like a pretty simple question.
Yeah. A lot of people think I go by Gavin or my first name's Gavin or whatever, and I'll answer to it. You call me Gavin. That I know who it is.
Except that you probably won't answer to Adam as well.
No, if you say Adam.
Hey, Adam.
If you say Adam, I'm not even going to think you're thinking of me.
Someone around me named Adam.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, my name's Adam too?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, Carly asked a couple questions too, and I didn't tell you that she asked a couple questions. I read them on our drive home last night from Atlanta. She says, how did Mason get so lucky to have me as a future wife?
I didn't think
we've already kind of covered that.
I was hoping she wouldn't figure it out.
Yeah. She figured it out. But then she said, just kidding. She wanted to know what your favorite, for both of us. And I don't have to expand too far on this, but she said, what's your favorite non-car related activity?
Watching The Office.
There you go. And I already knew that.
Yeah, or sleeping. But what happens is Carly and I watch The Office probably every single night.
Yeah.
And
before
it's really,
sleeping.
Yeah,
so
before
those
sleeping.
two activities come together.
But what happens is she's asleep while I'm watching The Office.
Yeah.
And so really both of those. But
that's hilarious.
I mean, yeah. No, I mean I think that's just like what we do in our not free time because we don't have free time, but
sleeping too. That's so funny. I mean, you could probably test this too. Mine's probably playing music.
Yeah,
which we've already expanded on. But yeah, my favorite non-car related activity is playing music.
Yeah,
or riding BMX. That was such a huge part of my life for so long. But music, I think, transcends the two of those.
Yeah,
but there's a few other questions. But honestly, the other people that brought in questions from Instagram asked a lot of the similar things that we've already talked about. Mm-hmm. Kind of how Riverside was started and where it's going, and keeping it at the same venue.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of covered a lot of those things.
I mean, I could touch a little more base on some of the like where it's going, direction, and
well, and like Liam from LEP Automotive asked, will we see Riverside turn into more of a week-long thing in the future, like meets throughout the week, etc.?
Yeah, I would love to. That's been a goal. In 2014, I drove up to Ocean City for H2O, the only time I'd ever been, because it's like a 13-hour drive. Sorry, it's hard to get up there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's the same for us too.
Yeah, and my favorite thing about it, like I actually didn't even go to H2O International. I at the time, I mean, out of pure ignorance, I didn't know what it was, but I knew there was like a Volkswagen Audi event somewhere elsewhere, And correct me if anything I say that's wrong or whatever. But I what I loved about it was I spent like 3 days cruising the strip with my buddies that most of them I hadn't even met in person until then. And we went to a bunch of pop-up meets all around town. And it would be like every day there'd be like 4 or 5 different pop-up meets. And you hang out on this, street corner or whatever for this meet this day. The Wrong Fitment crew meet this day, and then the Dapper meet this day or whatever. Like it was just, that was so cool.
It's my favorite part of Ocean City.
Yeah. And
that's why we hold the TGC meet there every year.
And I want to go.
Yeah.
So we're actively working on doing
yes.
that. But that left a lasting impression on me because I've never seen that.
Yeah, likewise.
And I want to implement that in Riverside and have people come from, because so many people, like I said earlier, come to Riverside from all over.
Yep.
So I want to give them more things to do and more of a reason to stay in Chattanooga and enjoy this incredible city that we have and like see the sights we have and drive on the cool roads that we have.
Well, I've already told you too, like if I end up moving down this way, I am more than excited to like help with moving in that direction.
Yeah.
If it becomes people start showing up into town Tuesday and Wednesday and cruising around the city, like I'd love to do a TGC meet on like, before the show or whatever, that'd be really cool.
Yeah. I want that. So I'm actively working on that.
Yeah.
To answer Liam's question, I want a TGC meet. I want an LEP automotive meet. If there's something that he wants to do, I'll even help facilitate like communication with the city and the right people and different businesses so we can like really make this like a legitimate thing and work with Chattanooga and business owners on bringing more people to this town.
Right. And, it's a destination show.
Absolutely.
It'll bring more people up because of that.
Yeah. And that's a great question. And I hope that with the help from the community, we can make that happen.
I have no doubt that it will. Yeah, I have no doubt. And I look forward to it. I'm really hoping I can be a resident down here in the next year, and for next year, Riverside be more of a part than I am this year. That'd be amazing.
And maybe a little slight Easter egg drop. We are actively again working on moving Riverside from early March to early April.
Yeah.
And in 2021, we are on the calendar for April.
Perfect.
In 2016 and 2017, the event was late March in 2016 and then early April in 2017. And both events were just incredible. The weather was great.
Weather-wise, yeah.
Weather was great. People came. There were so many people that came.
Yeah.
And it's been hard. We get asked this a lot about why we host it in the beginning of March, and particularly the second weekend of March, because this will be now the third year. It'll be the second weekend of March, and it's honestly just purely by like chance the first time, because we the pavilion is an event venue, and like anybody can come and rent it out or set up whatever for events, and it's a popular destination for the Chattanooga farmers markets there that starts in every single April, and in April it's 2 days every weekend. It's Saturday and Sunday, and quite a few other things. There's a couple of other car shows, some like hot rod car shows, or one big one in particular is Coker Tire Cruise, and was downtown South Side, included the pavilion, and it was either the end of March or the beginning of April every year, and it's now since moved to a different location. So now that's kind of opening up a little window. Yeah. And also, I mean, our good friends at Import Alliance, their event kind of floats around from like the last weekend of March to the first weekend of April or so, and it's something that's important, that we want to work together as a community to make sure that I don't want Riverside like on the same weekend, because I don't want to take anything away from them, and I don't want like my vendors to have to choose, because we share a lot of vendors, and I don't want my vendors to have to choose
any
like
overlap.
Am I going to go to Import Alliance or am I going to go to Riverside? Like that's just not right. It's not fair for my vendors or for Import Alliance or for us, and so it's just more important that we work together to make sure that there's like a weekend between our events at least. So that both can be successful, and all the vendors can be successful at both events, and we work with the guys at Import Alliance with that, and that's great. But now we're finally getting to a point to where some more openings are opening up in some more weekend days are opening up in later March and earlier April.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So the plan is I'd like to hardcore set it in stone in early April, but we'll just have to do it 1 year at a time right now. But yeah, 2021 Riverside 6, it's going to be in April.
Awesome.
So I'm excited about that.
Well, hey, dude, let's end it there.
Cool.
We're 2 days out. Riverside 5 next year, hopefully in April, with like a locked in date soon with good weather.
Yeah.
Mason Gavin on Instagram, right? No.
Yeah, just
period
Mason
or
Gavin.
Yep, just Mason Gavin with an I at the end. Well, I-N, Gavin.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other way to spell it. But.
Not that I know of.
Riverside Chattanooga is the Instagram for the show.
Mm-hmm.
Chattanooga Offroad Monthly Meet.
That's a good question.
Chattanooga Offroad Monthly Meet. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
It's Chattanooga Offroad Monthly Meet.
Yep. And it's Carly time, because I know you want people to.
Yeah, at It's Carly time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, I can't wait. I'm so excited. We got some work to do. So let's get some lunch and get some work done.
Well, real fast, root beer.
You gonna try that right now?
Honest opinion.
You want the honest opinion? I'm gonna be honest with you. I have to pee so bad that I almost left you to talk about Ocean City.
Well, you can leave. I'm gonna take the show over, folks. Root beer 101.
All right,
IBC.
IBC.
I have no opinions yet.
Yeah.
It smells terrible. It smells like old. It smells like something you're not supposed to drink.
Oh my god.
Hold on.
All right, here we go. He's taking a sip.
I think I heard the fizzle in the mic.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know. I just don't drink soda.
Yeah.
I could drink this.
You could drink it?
I could drink this.
That's good.
I'm honestly surprised.
Because I can show you like some root beers that like I like more than IBC that I think you would like more than that one. But IBC is a good one to try. So I'm glad you like it.
That's not bad.
I'm glad, because I thought when you first took that sip, I thought it was going to be the typical Mason. Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
I can't, dude, laughing hurts so bad right now. I have to pee so bad.
Okay, I'll let you go.
I should not have drank that full large coffee and half of this large coffee in front of me.
I forgot I had a nice coffee.
Oh, my goodness. If I do more morning podcasts, I need to like sip on my first coffee while we're doing the podcast. Because an hour in between the first coffee and the podcast, that's going to be 2 hours long, is not good. I think I've done bodily harm to myself.
Yeah.
Well, hey, guys, thank you so much for listening. Episode 5, my good friend Mason Gavin. Super excited to finally sit down. Learned a bunch, too, that I didn't know about you. And
cool.
Really excited about that. More excited about Riverside this weekend. Hopefully you guys are hearing this on Friday the 13th before the show.
Hopefully.
I've got a lot of work to do, but we'll get it done. Thank you guys for listening and watching. Episode 6, maybe we'll get one recorded with Nikolai from Simple Clean this weekend, but I'm not sure. There's so much to do. Regardless, more soon. I'm going to try to get one done when I get home as like a follow-up of the show and news on some other stuff. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you in the next episode.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Look at who it is. As we speak, Nikolai is outside.
Mando. Oh, that's cool.
Oh, my gosh. I can't even walk.